Hello, beautiful. I'm Amy Arrett, founder of Madison Reed, a hair color company I named after my daughter. Think about the last time you had a good hair day, a really good hair day. How did you feel? How about confident, beautiful, on top of the world, unstoppable? It's true. How your hair looks directly affects how you feel. I started Madison Reed because I believe you deserve that good hair day feeling every day. So join over 2 million women who have trusted Madison Reed to help them look and feel their best. It's gorgeous, salon-quality hair color, plus it's cruelty-free and made with ingredients you could feel good about. Visit madison-reed.com/color. That's madison-reed.com/color. Let your inner beauty shine. Try it, love it. That's the beauty of Madison Reed.
Have it all with the Disney Bundle. Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. Watch Avatar: The Way of Water and Secret Invasion streaming soon on Disney Plus.
One last fight.
On Hulu, check out The Kardashians and White Men Can't Jump.
You ready? Oh, I'm ready.
Then, catch the NHL, UFC, and MLB on ESPN Plus. The Disney Bundle, starting at just $9.99 a month. All of these and more, now streaming. Plans with ESPN Plus starting at $12.99 a month. Blackouts and restrictions apply. 18 plus only. Access content from each service separately. Offer valid for eligible subscribers only. Terms apply.
And
now, turn
down
the lights.
You're
listening to
Somewhere in
Dreamland.
Welcome back, dreamers. I'm your host, Ken Mark, and you're listening to Somewhere in Dreamland. Be sure to check out the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, the UNX Network, and the Dreamland website at www.dreamlandpodcast.weebly.com, where you can check out the newly updated merch store and find an amazing selection of Somewhere in Dreamland t-shirts, stickers, beer glasses, and much, much more. Tonight, my guest is Michael Kopf. Michael is the host of Exploring Our Secret Past. He's a Reiki master and a paranormal investigator out of the great state of Texas, who has investigated everywhere from Fort Walters to the rocky edges of the Grand Canyon. So how you doing tonight, Michael?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm really excited to talk with you. I know you're a member of my Facebook group and everything, and I see that you do some paranormal investigations, and now you have your own show, and I thought, what the hell, we'll get you on, and we'll talk about everything, man.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see what you got lined up.
All right, man. Well, first question I got is, when and how did you get your start in the world of the paranormal?
Well, that's actually a funny answer because it's a twofold answer. When I was 2, I had my first paranormal experience where I was in an attic and fell down a vent shaft, cut my eyebrow, and hit a concrete basement. So I went through the attic, second floor, first floor to the basement, and I had no broken bones. Couldn't explain it. It was years later that I started to remember what happened during the fall. And everyone was just amazed that all I had was a cut on my eyebrow where the hair doesn't grow even to this day. But after that, it wasn't until about probably 5 years ago that I was approached from a friend in another paranormal group, and he saw me in a Facebook group called Ghost Ship Hunters, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to paranormal investigate?" And I was like, "What do you mean paranormal investigate? What does that mean?" And he's like, "Well, I have a team, and we'd like you to be on the team." And I was like, "Whoa, hold on a second. You mean this is real? People actually investigate as teams?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, oh, I thought this was only done on TV. So I was like, sure. And the next day I was on my first paranormal investigation.
Oh, wow. Wow. I guess the first question I have then, what in the heck were you doing in an attic at 2 years old?
Being curious and, just looking around. Okay. And there was, I think, I don't actually remember if there was work being done or if we were just playing around. But, being two, I'm sure I was just exploring.
Yeah. So you actually go out now and do paranormal investigations. So do you roll solo or are you like with the team now?
Right now, I'm kind of rolling solo where I will kind of attach to some teams and collaborate. And I find that's a lot better than being on a team. Now, let me specify that because I don't have anything against teams. Teams are great. But when you investigate with the same people over and over, it's kind of gets a little redundant, in my opinion, of how you're going to investigate and what you're going to investigate. So when you're on your own collaborating with other teams, you get different flavors of different techniques of investigating and doing, different kind of, experiments.
Yeah, you're getting kind of different angles. Everybody's little angle. I like that, man.
So yeah, that's why I say I prefer the solo method. It's nothing against teams. It's just I enjoy getting the different flavors.
Okay. And have you ever worked with a psychic on a investigation team?
Well, actually, I have done a few with a medium, but I don't know if that would be considered the same thing as with the psychic, because I know mediums and psychics are two different categories. And so I don't think I have investigated, to my knowledge, I haven't investigated with anyone I know that is psychic, like they flat out told me they were. But I do investigate sometimes with a medium, and that is a lot of fun because you will hear them say, oh, I'm picking up on there's a child here or there's a spirit here. And it's like, okay. And so it really challenges you to go, so if it's this, how am I going to respond to it and react with it? Because I have no frame of reference to go, oh, so like what, how do you like that jacket that you're wearing? Is that your favorite jacket or stuff like that? It's like you're sitting there flying blind and going, all right, so what question can I ask that it's going to respond to and start a conversation?
Right. So do you investigate residential or historic locations or a mix of both?
I've done probably 3 residentials. I don't do them as often because it's kind of hard sometimes to walk into a space and be like, okay, so I need everyone to respond and show me what you're doing because I'm here for, one night. That's what I got permission for. So if I'm going to help you, got to give me everything now. And it's like, yeah, most time the spirit world is like, you know what? I don't know you from Adam, so I'm not going to help you with nothing. So you're like, I feel bad because nothing happened that you say happened, so I can't validate it for you, but I can't also say it doesn't happen. So I tend to shy away from those a little bit unless I can do them multiple times to get the spirits to warm up to you and become more responsive and show their true colors.
All right. And how many locations so far would you say that you've investigated actually?
Well, let's see. I have done Yorktown Memorial Hospital. I've done Victoria Black Swan Inn. I've done Fort Walters Military Base. Old Nazareth Hospital, Beach Army Hospital, Old Park Hotel in Ballinger. I've investigated a few places in Jefferson, Texas, and those are the ones in Texas I've kind of done with teams beyond cemeteries. And I have investigated in Arizona, the Grand Canyon area. I've investigated New Mexico, where they say Billy the Kid was buried, and Fort Sumter.
Yeah.
I've done the Ramsey School in West Virginia. Now, I don't know that it's the famous Ramsey School, but it says Ramsey School, so that's what I call it. And I've done St. Augustine, Florida.
That's a good location there.
Oh, yeah.
So what has been your favorite location so far?
So far, I would say recently would be Old Park Hotel and Fort Walters Military Base, because they're starting to become more active for me because I've been there so many times now. It's like the spirits are really picking up. And a close behind that is Broken Bow Asylum in Oklahoma. But my overall truly favorite, I don't know that I could pick one, because they all are so unique that they all had their fun memories.
Right. Now, what's the most active place that you've checked out?
Most active, I would say, is Broken Bow Asylum, Old Park Hotel, and the Old County Runnels Jail across the street. The Fort Walters base has become real active for me. And I would say, yeah, those would be the ones that pop into my memory as being really active, like something that a lot of people have experienced, not just personal.
What kind of evidence have you collected from those spots?
So Fort Walters, I started getting EVPs where I would be in a room by myself and I'm filming, and all of a sudden it's like I hear a female voice say hi, and you see me just keep scrolling, and because I didn't hear it. And so I'm always like, I feel kind of bad that I didn't hear it. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm really excited that they actually put up the energy to say hi.
Yeah, sure.
And another one that I had at both of these are Fort Walters was we were playing a military cadence. And while the guy is, doing his marching commands, like cadence talk, he paused for a second and then started up again. And in that moment, there was a male voice that said, "Pause it."
Wow.
And I was with two ladies, and when I heard that, I was like, the music kept going. And so I was like, I don't remember saying that. And both the ladies were like, "That's not your voice." And besides that, out of respect for you, if you had said pause it, we would have paused it.
Right.
I was like, yeah, that's true.
Well, that's a good piece, man. That's definitely a good piece.
Yeah, and one that really got me started was at Old Park Hotel. I was in this doll room and just kind of painting around, and I was on a Facebook Live back when I would do those, and all of a sudden I get pinned to the end of the room, and I'm like, okay, I guess nothing's going to happen. So I go to walk out of the room, and all of a sudden, like, my Facebook Messenger is like blowing up, and I'm like, y'all, I'm on a live. I can't talk right now. You'll have to wait. And I'm like, it starts blowing up, and like people that I know don't normally message me are messaging me, and I'm like, all right. I'm like 2 rooms over. I'm like, all right, what do y'all want? And come to find out, they all heard a voice in the kids' room and were trying to tell me there was a spirit in there talking to me. And I was like, what? And so I played it back, and clear as day, there's a girl's voice that says, "Leave me alone."
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and it was so perfect because it's like right almost towards the end of the scan, and then I walk out, and so it's like you think I reacted to her, but I didn't. And I posted up the video for people to watch, and to hear the story. And I actually had somebody message me and says, "I have something that's going to blow your mind." I said, "What?" And he goes, "Look at this cabinet right before you walk out the door." And I said, "What?" And I'm looking at it, and I was like, wait a minute, do I see what I think I see? And a friend of mine had taught me, when you think you see a spirit or something in a picture, if you can take and run like a line around and make a image appear by following what you're picturing and the distortion, then you've caught something. And so I'm sitting there going, well, I think I see something. And I start drawing the line, and I'm like, all of a sudden I start getting chills drawing this line. And it turns out to be like a little kid hunched over, holding its knees to its chest. And I'm like, how perfect is it to have "Leave me alone," a spirit with its knees hiding underneath the tabletop, and then I walk out the door. It's like, wow, to have a voice, to seeing the image, to out the door.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You mentioned the doll room. I've heard you talk before about there's a doll in that doll room that has been giving you a lot of attention lately, right?
That is at Fort Walters. There's 2 dolls actually there that have been giving attention. One is a doll that came from the old Nazareth Hospital that appeared on an episode of Destination Fear. So we nicknamed her the Chelsea doll. And she's been known to grab my arm or to create like noises around. Like if she doesn't want to be bothered, you'll start to hear voices off to the distance. And she's like, "Okay, I know you. You're going to go over there and investigate the voices. So you'll leave me alone." So she's a playful one, and she gets moved around every once in a while, and we're trying to figure out where she wants to be. And the other doll that was driving us nuts, and to set this up, is I've investigated Fort Walters at this point like probably 5-6 times. Never had this happen. So I'm there with a team that I'm investigating the first time with. And so let me back up a second. Before that, I was there the night before, and that's when I had the Cadence EVP pause it, and no dolls were active. So the next night, I'm there with this team, and this couple from Chicago is in the doll area, and I'm like, we come through and we're like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "We have every 12 to 15 minutes, this doll laughs, but we can't figure out where it's coming from." And I'm like, "What do you mean a doll laugh?" I'm like, I never heard a doll laugh. What are you talking about? And sure enough, we sit there, and all of a sudden this doll laughs. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Because it sounds like a digital laugh, but there's nothing in that room that's supposed to make that sound. Like if a doll has batteries, the batteries are out. If it's an animatronic plug-in, they're unplugged. So it's like my mind is going, where is this coming from? So we spend close to 2 to 3 hours trying to isolate.
Hello, beautiful. I'm Amy Errett, founder of Madison Reed, a hair color company I named after my daughter. Think about the last time you had a good hair day, a really good hair day. How did you feel? How about confident, beautiful, on top of the world, unstoppable? It's true. How your hair looks directly affects how you feel. I started Madison Reed because I believe you deserve that good hair day feeling every day. So join over 2 million women who have trusted Madison Reed to help them look and feel their best. It's gorgeous, salon-quality hair color, plus it's cruelty-free and made with ingredients you could feel good about. Visit madison-reed.com/color. That's madison-reed.com/color. Let your inner beauty shine. Try it, love it. That's the beauty of Madison Reed.
Have it all with the Disney Bundle. Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. Watch Avatar: The Way of Water and Secret Invasion streaming soon on Disney Plus.
One last fight.
On Hulu, check out The Kardashians and White Man Can't Jump.
You ready? Oh, I'm ready.
Then, catch the NHL, UFC, and MLB on ESPN Plus. The Disney Bundle, starting at just $9.99 a month. All of these and more, now streaming. Plans with ESPN Plus starting at $12.99 a month. Blackouts and restrictions apply. 18 plus only. Access content from each service separately. Offer valid for eligible subscribers only. Terms apply.
Where this is, we are standing in a straight line. We are forming a circle. Nobody hears it always in the same place. I can hear it behind me. Then I'll be like, the next one, it'll be in front of me. I don't move. And so we were like, okay, this doll is driving me nuts. We finally call it. And the next Friday night, I get permission from the owner to go back with me and 2 friends. And one of the ladies that helps out with the haunted house there, who does the animatronics and dolls, I asked her to stick around and go, can you help us isolate where this is coming from? We spend another hour to an hour and a half trying to find this laugh. And we can't find it.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like, it's one of those moments. It's like you're sitting there going, I can't believe I'm spending all this time on a laugh. But it's like, I really want to know.
Sure. Yeah, that would drive you crazy.
And especially when it's something I've never heard before. And now I've heard it twice. And so it's like, Yeah,
that'd be enough to drive you crazy and kind of creep you out, too, because dolls are creepy, man.
They are.
Dolls are really creepy. They have those little eyes and they like follow you everywhere. And yeah, I don't like them, man.
Oh, the worst is when the eyes are even missing. And it's like you look and you're like, I didn't know you had eyes. And it's like you're looking at it and go, no, you don't have eyes. But it looks like it's looking right at you with eyes. And it's like, oh, man, in the dark, when your mind plays that trick on you, it's like, man, that is not kosher.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that, man. I wouldn't like that at all. So, hey, I want to back up a minute. I want to talk about equipment. What type of equipment do you use during your investigations?
I used to go along with, like, if I seen, and say, on Ghost Hunters, them using K2s, I'd be like, oh, I want to get that because that's what they're using. And to be honest, I never really got a lot out of it. But when I was at Broken Bow, I seen how it could really be used and was like, wow, this is kind of impressive. And so I have it back in my kit, but I haven't drawn it out. I tend to now use either a body cam or a IR camera, video camera that I can walk around with and just film. And that is basically it. Sometimes I may throw in some cat balls depending on where I'm at and what I feel like the spirits are wanting to do. If they're going to play with them or just going to ignore them. I'm like, well, if I get the feeling you're just going to ignore them, I'll just keep them in the box because why waste the battery?
So what do you feel like is, in your opinion, the single most useful and important piece of equipment that an investigator can carry with them during an investigation?
I would say to carry with you would be, if you can get a good one, a body camera that switches from day to night automatically with the IR built in, or an IR camera, because then you're walking around in the dark. You don't have to have your flashlight on to see where you're going. You can look through the camera and to me, it feels like I'm getting more of a true sense of if a spirit's going to show up, they're going to do it now, versus if I have a flashlight on, I feel like if they were going to run by as a shadow, the flashlight's going to bleed it out and I'll never see it. So that's why I would say the IR cameras that are night vision or a body camera that's picking up everything while you're walking around and it's seeing stuff you're not.
Now, have you ever had the absolute daylight scared out of you during an investigation?
I have come close a couple of times, but I've never experienced yet a situation to where I had to run out of a building.
Okay.
And the two that I came close to was, one was at the school in West Virginia where I was in a room and all of a sudden I felt this huge pressure on my shoulders, like something's trying to push me through a floor. And I'm like, I'm not going through a hard concrete or severely wooden floor, to hold those tiles on. I'm just not going, so stop. And I finally got so uncomfortable. I was like, I left that little area, walked into the classroom area, and was like, well, maybe I'll go in the hallway and see what everybody else is up to. And kind of was like, maybe I'm just kind of picking up nerves from being in a school building, then it's supposedly abandoned and haunted. So, how you start to try and talk yourself out of the experience and being like, maybe that's not paranormal what's happening, it's mental game. And I get in the hallway and my friend that I'm traveling with, his hat comes flying off just before I get into the hallway. And I was like, oh man, I missed it. And he's like, yeah. And so we go to separate and both of us hear a girl laugh. And then we hear his name being called and we look at each other. And he's like, giving me this look like you heard that, right? And I'm looking at him and going like, oh, I heard that. I don't know where it's coming from, but I heard it. And we're trying to be quiet and communicate because, it's like if it does something again, we don't want to be talking over it and miss it. And we end up actually hearing the giggle. I think it was a giggle. And we go running to it, and I run out onto a balcony, standing in the middle of it, and realizing there is nobody in this balcony. There is nobody on stage. Nobody's in the room. My friend won't even come into the room. And I'm like, and I look down, and you know how wood kind of has these weird, like, stains or something in it or markings on them?
Sure.
And I'm like, well, this is interesting. Let me take a picture, and I'll look at it later. And using a digital camera at this point, this is before I had IR. And I'm like, and you know how digital cameras automatically adjust everything in focus so you get clear pictures every time. I took 3 photos of this and all 3 were blurred to where I couldn't make out what I was looking at. So whatever it was did not want to be photographed standing right next to me, or whatever that spot was didn't want to be identified. And so we go and we decide to leave. And my friend who I met in the Ghost Ship Hunters group, we were kind of laughing, and he puts his arms on my car and he's like, I got to thank you. I'm like, for what? And he goes, you didn't run. A lot of people will sit there and say in a group, oh, I won't run if I hear this or that. And then they do because, you're in the moment. And he appreciated the fact that I said I wouldn't run. And when in that situation, I ran to it, not from it. And so it was like one of those moments for me going, yeah, I think I am built to be a paranormal investigator because I run towards the disembodied voice, not away from it.
Right. Yeah. Because I'd be running away, man. I don't know. I don't mess with scary stuff or nature. I don't do it.
Well, I think curiosity comes into play, and also I think I trust my instincts in the moment, and it's like if I don't have a bad feeling from it, then I'm like, who are you? And, why are you trying to get my attention? Versus, yeah, I'm sure if I was to ever hear a voice and it's like, I get a bad feeling, I'm sure I would leave, because I don't want to take on something I can't see and
sure
risk getting scratched up and being like, I don't know how to block myself from getting hurt from this because I can't see you.
So based on that, it's pretty safe to say that you really yet haven't ran into anything negative yet.
Not negative in the sense of like demonic negative, to where it's like real dark and real heavy and like has full intention of doing harm. I don't think I've come across that. I have come across some entities to where I could feel like they didn't like me being there. And I'm like, what did I do? Why are you mad at me? I haven't met you. And I was like, my curious nature like takes over, and it's like, if I don't feel threatened, I will try and get answers. But when I'm like, well, and then I'll get to a point where it's like, I feel like, well, you obviously are pissed, you don't want to talk, so I'm just gonna leave. It's nothing about you. I just don't want to waste any more of our time trying to get you to say something.
Right.
You're not going to, so let's move on.
So I want to ask you, you mentioned you just thought this stuff was on TV. So in your own personal opinion, would you say that paranormal television has had a positive or a negative effect on real hardcore paranormal research?
I would say it's a little of both. The benefit is you get to see technology and different methods in use. So you can say, oh, like the Estes method, that seems like something worth trying. I think I can do that. And, you try it. Versus, if somebody's got like this thousands of dollars of video camera equipment up and it's like, oh, and look at what I caught. It's like, yeah, I don't have the budget for that, so never mind.
Right. Well, I feel like paranormal television, it introduced the field to like a lot of people that may not have otherwise been interested in it at all, or maybe had some reservation about it, but it kind of brought it to the mainstream. And I'm talking early shows like, Ghost Hunters and things like that. I thought those were really good because they brought lots of new theories. And I feel like nowadays, though, I feel like things are starting to go a little off course, like
right.
I some of the shows I watch, and everybody listens to my show will know how critical I am on this, but I'm going to say it. Like every single case is demonic or evil, like some of the evidence, and a lot of the evidence that's being presented is quite a stretch in my opinion. And some of the more famous and important cases, in my opinion, are kind of being made a mockery of, and that really makes me angry. I'm not a huge fan of Zach Baggins at all, and in the Ghost Adventures guys. I really can't stand them. I hate them, to be honest with you, because they're the ones that I feel like are just out there. Just they're like these frat boys, right? And they're just out there doing it just to make that dollar, and they don't give a crap about anything, man. Like, and they're the ones in my opinion that are also making a mockery of everything. Like, I tried to watch the Haunted Museum show. Have you ever seen that?
No, I haven't. I tend not to watch Zach Baggins because...
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I caught it one night, and he's got this haunted mansion, and he has on there Robert the Doll, right? And I mean, anybody that knows the paranormal knows that Robert the Doll is pretty... It's it's worth looking at, seriously.
Yeah. And he's in St. Augustine, Key West.
Key West, yep. And they just totally made a fool of this thing. Like they had this old man come in and touch it, and you're not supposed to touch it. And they did it. It was just so scripted and so ridiculous that it really made me mad. I'm like, all right, where are you going with this? Why are you doing this? Like, why? I understand that it's entertainment value, but to me, where I try to take this stuff a little bit seriously, it's like, why are you doing this, man? Why are you acting like a little kid and having this old man come in and touch this doll on purpose? And it just makes me mad. But
well, I can take it a step further, and I tell people all the time, I don't watch Ghost Adventures. I don't like Zach because I don't like anybody who will sit there and like talk crap, yelling, antagonizing a spirit, and then says, okay, bud, you're going in now to spend time with it. He won't even go it himself.
This dude tries to fist fight ghosts, and it makes me so mad, man. Like, I'm trying to talk these TV producers into. I said, look, man, set it up, man. Set up an MMA match between me and Zach Baggins. I'd love to beat that dude's brains in, man. Just he can bring his camera and everything. I mean, EVP, whatever you want to bring, man. Somebody needs to set that up because.
I have no problem saying this, but I think that would be a one-sided fight because I don't think he has brains to start with.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, man. It's a really good point. I really don't either. He's just...
In my opinion, if anybody had a half a brain, I would not be sitting there stirring something up with all the doors locked and by chains and going, okay, you go spend time with it. I'd be like, if I don't want to go in there, I'm not sending anybody else in there either.
And dude is just a goof, and I really don't understand why. I feel like that show alone turned the tables on the paranormal to the, like, I think we were going in a serious angle at first, and now we're just going to the point where everybody that watches it thinks everything's demonic, everything's evil, and Zach Baggins is the way to do it. That's the way you should go in and conduct an investigation. You should immediately start antagonizing and trying to fist fight. And I'll be frank with you, it makes me angry, man. That it's even a thing, But on the other hand, I also feel like a lot of these programs, they're stuck in this never-ending like cookie cutter style of script where the narrative never really changes. Like, you have the investigators go in, they investigate, they get questionable EVP or photographic evidence, right? And then they present the evidence to the owner or the concerned party, and then they leave. And there's no follow-up, there's no conclusion, there's no solution. They just confirm that they believe the location is also haunted,
Right.
What happens after that? That's what I really want to see, because that's, to me, like another important side. Sure, there are some places I'm sure that that like that their place is haunted, and that's what they wanted was that confirmation. But I'm sure you have residential locations that these people are like, absolutely scared out of their wits, and they don't want this stuff to happen. And what happens to them people? Like, why aren't you showing that? It's just another thing that gets to me, man.
Well, I think they probably do something about it, but they don't want to advertise it because, let's be honest, how many of us, because we saw like the Estes method, for example,
A journal is much more than a book of blank pages. It's a personal journey, a place to gather thoughts, explore ideas, and become the best version of yourself. Papier creates quality journals, notebooks, and more to help you make each day noteworthy. Each product is thoughtfully crafted with gorgeous hand-drawn designs and details that inspire. Papier offers a range of journals from wellness and gratitude to recipes and travel and much more. Their perfectly curated pages encourage you to focus on what's between the lines. And with undated pages, you can plan and track things at your own pace. Best of all, each product can be personalized for free to be as unique as you or a special person in your life. Put pen to paper and start your journey today with Papier. Visit papier.com for 10% off your first order That's 10% off at PAPIER.com.
My story is just one story in the tapestry of abortion stories. It's up to people like me to break the stigma around abortion.
Visit PlannedParenthood.org/endstigma to learn more.
On a show, went and tried the Estes method. So if we see them clearing a spirit out, taking it on, there are people who are not probably trained and in the right space would also do that, in which case it's going to make the situation worse, not help it. And so to me, I would like to think that's why they don't show that part, because they want to make sure whoever's doing this is the right qualified person to be doing this.
I understand that. I completely understand that, and I get it. My whole thought on that is, if I'm doing a video about how to properly barbecue some ribs, right? But I leave out the most important part, which is the barbecue sauce in the end. Like, we're going to have a whole bunch of people now that are going to go make barbecue ribs without the barbecue sauce. And it's going to taste not as good as it did if it had barbecue sauce on it. And they're going to think they're doing it the right way, you know? And really, they're not doing it the right way. And I think that it's important that they put that out there. I mean, you can even put a disclaimer on there. Look, you know, we are trained to do this. We are trained to do that. I wouldn't recommend doing this at home because there are certain risks. But I feel like it's an important aspect of the science or even the paranormal that we include what happens afterwards, because, I mean, now we've got teams that just go out, you know, Michael, and they just investigate and they go, yeah, you've got a ghost. We think you have a ghost. And somebody says that to me, I'm going to be like, great. Now what do I do about it? You know, like.
I will say there was one episode, and I think it was Adam and Amy's show, that they went to a location and was doing, like you're saying, investigating it. And they were, you know, going, well, you know, the homeowners or the owners are wanting it, you know, if it's bad, you know, to come to an agreement and calm down and everything and make it so they can be able to do, you know, their stuff there. And at the end of the episode, it goes, well, we removed the entity that was causing all the problems, and they've been now are saying everything is more at calm. And my first reaction to that was, that is totally unfair, because now I can't go to that location and investigate and experience that. You have now robbed every investigator from being able to investigate and experience that scenario. And so I think that's the double-edged sword that they're dealing with when it comes to, you know, do you remove? Because part of that, too, is if you're making your livelihood from, you know, tours and stuff from a haunted, you know, place, and somebody comes in and is like, oh, yeah, you know, we can help you out, and we're going to remove the entity that's causing all the problems. And if they all decide to leave, these people no longer have a livelihood because it's no longer haunted.
No, I totally agree with you on that. And that's why I was saying that there are some places that want that, and they want that confirmation, and that's all they want. Right. On the other hand, there are, you know, maybe more on the residential side, people that are having, you know, poltergeist activity or whatever, that are just going through living hell, and they just want to live their lives, you know, and maybe they don't have money to move somewhere else. And this thing is just, I mean, they never show that. I mean, we've seen how many episodes of shows where they go in and then they sit down with the homeowner and they go, yeah, you've got a ghost. Yeah. We think it's this person.
Well, actually, if you remember, there was a show that did that.
Yeah, Paranormal State used to do that.
Yeah. And thinking about Paranormal State, I have a friend who I investigate sometimes with. His name is John. He actually does. He's known, I believe, internationally and locally for his photography He's been in on some paranormal magazines and some other magazines. But he actually is, if I get a call from somebody that says, my house is haunted and the spirit is no longer friendly and I really need, it to go away, or find out why it's now all of a suddenly pissed off and bring it back to calm, he actually is the one that I would call to go and check out the house, because he, is trained and he has had a whole lot more experience around that than I have. And so I would feel more comfortable going, yeah, let's do this. And I love the fact that even though I've investigated with him probably 3 or 4 times, we get along great. And I've said, hey, if you're in my area and you're doing a home or something and you need help, let me know. He actually had the honest guts to say to me, hey, I enjoy investigating with you, but when I'm doing homes and dealing with stuff that could be dark, I don't want people around there that I can't trust fully, that they will keep themselves in the right frame of mind, keep themselves clean, not allow anything to attach, and, be able to handle themselves no matter what shows up. And I was like, at first I was like a step taken back, and then I was like, I took a breath and I realized, that's true. This is his livelihood, so to speak, his reputation. If I go in there saying I'm this, and then I was saying with my friend, going, oh, I'm not going to run. And then he's depending on me to help him in a situation. And the first sign of, say, like a knife sliding across the table, I'm bolting out the door. He's like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm like, I like the fact he was honest enough with me to go, I think, doing these type of investigations, you're great. I don't know how you would be in that situation. And because I've never been in that one, I don't know either. And so it was kind of a great, conversation of going, you got to know your place in the paranormal field and your niche, and don't try to be the paranormal guy of everything.
That's a good point. But you also brought something up that I wanted to ask you about. When you go, before you conduct an investigation, do you do anything to protect yourself? And have you ever thought, or have you ever brought anything home with you?
I used to, when I first started, I would just go with the mindset of, oh, I saged myself, so nothing can go home with me. Everything's fine. Everything's staying there. I know Reiki, and I don't have any attachments that I feel. Nothing's going on. So I kind of got to the point where I was feeling like everything is perfect. Going, don't need to do anything extra. Everything I'm doing is great. I get home, I sage the house just in case. I have Organite in my car. I have, I'm trying to think of the name. I always blank out when I try to call it out. It's kind of a meteorite that they found in Russia. That's shungite. That's it.
What is Organite? That sounds like something you catch a Pokemon with.
Organite is material that's been energetically molded, and can be stones or metal flakes in it, and they're energy frequencies to where, like, if you were to set my friend that makes them would set an Organite block that's designed for EMF protection next to, like, one of those power plant towers, because we all know the radiation that those give off. And he used to live near one, and he put an organite, just one organite, little small block, at the base of one. And he started noticing he was sleeping better and that his energy was more calm when he was home. And so he started realizing that there's benefit to these. And so he started making them. And so I started taking the opinion, if it helps keep calm and, helps clear energy, then that'll help, definitely help keep things from, like you're saying, going, hey, we can hitch a ride with this guy and go check out this place down the street.
Yeah.
And so I was doing all of that and and I'm sitting here thinking I got like 3-4 layers of protection. Nothing can happen to me. And I go to the Lavaca County Jail, and I normally can sense where portals are. Like if it's natural, like the spirit world, so to speak, created a portal, I can normally feel the energy difference and be like, okay, there's a portal here. Let's kind of steer around it. No big deal. Not picking up anything bad about it. It's just naturally there. So I'll just walk on. Well, I start to get this odd feeling like something is hunting me. Something is following me. Something's watching me. And I'm starting to get unnerved. And I take a step in this one cell, and the next thing I know, my entire energy level just drops to 0. It's like every ounce of protection I can feel disappears. And it's like I totally have no awareness that people are calling my name. I'm resting on my shoulder against the door frame, and I'm just stuck. I can't move. And when my team lead comes up to me and taps me on my shoulder, I actually am so low on energy that I literally fell on the floor. And it's like it snapped me too and broke me out of it. And I was like, what's going on? Why am I on the floor? And they got me water, took me outside. And when I went back in, it was like the second time I was in there, I could feel now all of a sudden there's a portal there. I didn't pick up because that's not natural. It's got a different energy signature. And so I had the feeling like a team had gone through, not knowing what they're doing, opened up a portal and never closed it. And I walked right into it. And I kind of was like, the next day I was at Yorktown and everything started flowing back to normal, and I was feeling my normal self. And so I gave it no more thought, like, okay, that was just an odd occurrence. I just had to watch out for, portals that aren't supposed to be there.
So I got a question. These portals, they would drain your energy, and what is the benefit of that for the portal?
It's okay. So the portal, like what I went through, where it was draining my energy, is somebody had opened like a doorway to bring in spirits or entities from somewhere else. They weren't necessarily there in the building. And, I don't know that they did this on purpose or by accident, not knowing what they were doing. And so this is why when it happened, and I found out what happened by talking to a friend in Colorado, that I made a video about it, and I put in the front of the video, I said, look, people, I know as paranormal investigators, we're all about seeking the truth, using anything we can to get that EVP or get that information, that validation, that proof, that, everything. Don't go messing with techniques or stuff you don't understand that are opening portals because you don't realize that they're opening, so you don't know to close it. Because this is what happened to me walking into one of those. And then I show the video to where they show me just leaning there, almost white, falling on the ground. And it's like, yeah, these are not things, you shouldn't be playing with, ways of bringing spirits, to you if you don't know how to close that space and cut off their, entry point, especially if you're making it. Now, if it was one of those natural portals, I'd feel differently about it, be like, hey, I walked into it. That was my bad. But it was the fact I couldn't know. And my friend in Colorado, I was talking to him about it, and he said, yeah, those are portals that could be to another dimension, or could be used to, send your spirit somewhere else. And that's why my body was looking and feeling like it was dead to the world.
So you think that your body is just sensitive to that? It's just sensitive to that type of energy from that portal?
Yes.
Okay, got you.
And so he then introduced me to a thing called a quince seed. And what it is it's a seed that is grown in Italy that's harvested by nuns, and they put it into a resin, and you can wear it, and it creates an energy field around you to where if you put it on and you don't cleanse yourself, whatever is attached to you can't leave you if you have the quince seed on. That's the intention of the seed that they put on it. However, if you're clean and you have the quince seed on, stuff can touch you, but they cannot enter your body. So they can't attach themselves to you.
It's kind of like a barrier.
Right.
Okay.
And so I now wear a quince seed with me every investigation I go on, because it's and I have a quince seed in my car, so that's 2 layers. So I still will sage when I get home. So those are what I do before and after investigations to make sure if something does follow me home, it's not staying, that it gets cleaned out and goes back where it needs to be.
Fair enough, man. So I want to talk a little bit about your show, Exploring Our Secret Past.
So we just premiered that 2 weeks ago. Carla Norris from Southern Fried Spirits Paranormal. I think I got that right, or it's Southern Fried Paranormal Spirits. It's a new team I'm with. It's one of those names that it's I got to think twice about if I'm giving the right name. But she and I investigate a lot together, and we were approached about doing a show, and we were at first I was approached and I was like, yeah, but I need a co-host because I don't feel comfortable talking for an hour about a subject matter, because I'm in my mind going, how entertaining can I be just talking about something to myself for an hour? So I approached her about it, and she was like, yeah, she was thinking about doing something similar, but she didn't feel it was the right time. And I said, why don't you partner up with me? And she was like, all right. So our first episode, we kind of did an introduction to who we are. And then we talked about our experiences that we just had at Old Park and our experiences at Fort Walters, kind of promoting 2 spots. And people seemed to like that, and we were getting good feedback. And so last night we were doing an episode on Broken Bow. I had been there 3 times. She'd been there once. We're going back on August 20th. And so we just, she reached out to me and she was like, hey, why don't we get the owner? You're friends with her. You know, we should get her on. And I was like, oh, in 2 days, we're not getting the owner. You know, it's a weeknight. No, I don't think so. The soonest I think we can slide it in is, you know, the Tuesday after, because it's Tuesday night at 9:00. And I was like, okay. But then she said to me again, she goes, you know, we should really get her on Tuesday. It'd be great to promote Broken Bow. And that's our subject matter. She owns the place. So, you know, let's get her on. And I was like, all right. I'm one of those. I'm like, the universe is sitting here telling me again to approach her. I got to approach her because got to go with the flow. Got to go with the universe. So I reach out to her and she's like, you know what? I just happened to be free that night. So she ended up coming on and we had like I said, an hour that turned into an hour and 13 or hour and 15 minutes. Great conversation. We talked about a lot of different things. And so our show, I'm trying to make it to where it's not the normal show of if I have an owner on going, okay, so what, you know, made you buy the place? What, you know, are your experiences there? So I was asking her stuff about her childhood that she mentioned in her bio and other stuff that she's got going on. And so I was trying to make it a little different and a little more of people being able to go, yeah, I understand you asked like one or two of the questions that everybody asks, but there was so much stuff I didn't know about this person or the location that now I want to go. So that's my goal, is if I have owners on, is to try to bring people to their place, so help promote their business. And we share our personal experiences at locations. And I was actually on an interview and somebody had mentioned to me, you're from Texas, right? I go, yes. And they go, what's your thoughts on the dog man? And I was like, what's a dog man? What are you talking about? And they're like, well, it's a cryptid that's running wild and rampant in Texas. And I'm like, what? And the next day I get a picture in a group of a dog man in Amarillo. And I'm like, okay, universe, I get it. So I took a whole week, researched the legend of the dog man, found out it's not Texas based. It's
Ohio, Michigan, and Pennsylvania.
Yep. And in Canada, and I think some other places in Europe, and I think Australia or New Zealand, somewhere over there, I think there is.
Dogman is one of my favorite subjects. I was born and raised in Ohio and real close to Silver Lake in Ohio. And
that's a big area.
Yeah, it's really big area. And been to Silver Lake, oh man, probably 20, 30 times. Wolf Ledges are right by there. Funny enough, that's named Wolf Ledges, huh?
Oh, I know.
And yeah, so it is very, very sewn into the culture up there for sure. And especially in that area because there have been so many sightings of it. And even the different areas between the states, they all kind of have their own, like they're all kind of the same. They're upright canids, you know, right. But they all kind of look different. Like Michigan, you go over to Michigan, the Michigan dog man, and they're seen on all fours most of the time. But Ohio and Pennsylvania, Canada, they're two-legged, almost werewolf-looking creatures.
Right, and the one thing I found interesting was I put a lot of claims. I found a website where people have documented their encounters. And so I was picking like the West Coast, Central Plains, East Coast U.S., Alaska, and I was trying to find, you know, okay, my goal was to go, okay, what time do they come out? What's the area like? You know, what's the commonalities to the area? what's the, all these things to where I could create a map and go, okay, so if I'm going to see Dogman, I need to go to these conditions at this time. Done. And I was like, encounters were like at 7 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, 3 in the afternoon, 7 in the morning. I'm like, this thing has no sense of time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. It comes out in the winter season or the summer. It's like, and it's completely random where it comes out. There's rural, there's cities. It's like,
yeah, and even
what the
even down here in the South, like I moved to South Carolina about 3 years ago, and they have their own werewolf dogman sighting here that happened back in the early 1900s in Anderson, South Carolina. So, but that's the only one that's ever been reported in this state, and it was just one mass sighting of this creature. But it's just weird that, I don't know, I think there's something to it. And I actually got to have Jody Cook on my show one time, who is, he's the Dogman guy. He runs and operates the North American Dogman Project. And yeah, he's got a lot of really cool information. So that may be somebody might want to look at to get on your show sometime, because he's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Seeing where I was going with, because you were asking me about the show, was the other thing is like, if people ask us about a topic that we're not familiar with, my goal is to, instead of making the videos like I was now, is I send to Carla going, hey, we're going to discuss a Dogman. You look up what you can. I look up what I can. We'll compare notes on the show and see what we can come up with. And I said to her, I said, now, if I give you a topic, though, and you're not familiar with it, I'm not giving you websites to go to, to do your research.
Yeah.
Because then you're just going to be spitting out the same research I am. So to keep it different and keep it unique, I'm like, here's the topic. But yeah, so I gave her the list of the show topics that I was going to do videos on. And we're like, we sit there and we'll spend one day, like we give ourselves after the show a day or two to kind of recuperate, readjust, let go of everything. And then go, okay, now what are we going to do this week? And we start researching it and hitting the road for that show. And so, yeah, so it's basically going to be stuff that's paranormal or stuff that's just I personally find interesting that I think people might find interesting. So it's a little bit of this and that.
Awesome. And how often does your show air and when?
Our show airs on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, and the Paralinks Paranormal United Network is our sponsor. So I will send out links when I create the show through them. Goes through StreamYard, and I will share the link out to Paralinks and my YouTube. And I was putting it on my profile until I found out that StreamYard does not share the comments that people make on the profile during the show. So I was having a lot of people asking questions and commenting, and I found out about it after the show, and so I felt horrible about it. So I asked our tech guy, why do I not see these? And he said, yeah, you got to stream to these 2 locations and share those links to your personal page and let people view it through that way to see the comments. StreamYard just does not like using personal profiles. And I was like, well, that sucks, but good to know. So now I know to only share it to 2 spots and then just put those links on my page and going, okay, pick one of these 2.
So what's coming up next for your show, man? What's going on next?
Well, next week's show, actually, I haven't announced it yet, but so this is an exclusive to your show. We are going to be having John Montenegro and his I believe it's girlfriend, partner, Jordan, I believe her last name is Rodriguez on. And they are coming on because they both have an event in Mineral Wells at the Fort Walters base called Darkness. And so they're coming on to promote their event and to help share what their event's about. And I'm hoping that the fans that are watching it, being that it's the week of the event, will catch it and maybe go, I was on the fence about it, but when he mentioned this, that really got my attention. So yeah, let's go. We should go to this. And so hopefully we'll drum up some more interest in his event and help sell tickets.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So where can everybody find your show, get a hold of you, to chat if they want to ask you questions, or maybe possibly inquire about being a guest on your show?
So the best way to reach me about that is through my Facebook page, Michael Kopf, which I believe you'll share the link to my personal page.
Yes, sir.
And it's best to message me, and if I don't respond in like a couple of days, don't feel like I'm ignoring you. I probably haven't seen it, especially if we're not friends. So you might send me a friend request, and then I check my messages and check to see if there's those other messages where
the hidden ones, the ones I hate.
Right.
Yeah, I hate those ones, man. They're so hard to find on there, aren't they?
They are, and even still, if I don't respond, to, probably give me like 3 days, and if I haven't responded, comment underneath one of the videos or of the episodes or on something on my page and just say, hey, sent you a private message, and I'll go look for it and see it and respond. The other place is Paralinks. It's a Facebook page on, it's a Facebook page, so it's on Facebook, but it's P-A-R-A capital L-A-N-X, so Paralinks, and you'll find us there, and you can message questions there, and if I don't see it, somebody else that's there will see it, and they may let me know if you're wanting to be a guest, or if you had a question about a topic and it's something they can answer, they may even step up and answer it. Or if you ask for me directly, I'm sure they'll let me know and make sure I see that message or post.
Even get a hold of me, because you and I communicate back and forth pretty often on Facebook, so I can get a hold of you if someone really needs you.
Right. And another good spot is my YouTube channel, which I'll be sharing with Ken the link to that. I got to make sure I get the right link, because there's 2 different links, and I don't like the other one because it's like a bunch of letters and numbers. And so I'll make sure and get you the one that's more direct to me, and you'll know it's my page. And if you comment on videos on my YouTube page, I am very good about, when I see the comments, if I realize there's a question in there or something, I'll respond. Or if even if you just say, hey, great video, I'll take the time and read it and go and write a thank you message or respond in some way. So that's another place where I'm really good at trying to respond right away to the people who took the time to watch the videos that I created. And
well, hey, Michael, I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to talk with me and talk with the audience about your investigations and your techniques and your show. I really appreciate it, man. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, and if you're up for it, maybe even you can pop in on our show.
Yeah, just let me know, man. We can set that up for sure.
Yep. The only difference is I do video.
Well, that's all right. Nobody really wants to see my ugly face, but I guess I can make an exception for you, man.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Michael. It was great talking with you, man. I really appreciate you, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Texas is my home and I'm all in. So even as the storms roll and the rivers rise, my grit keeps me going. My flood insurance helps me stay.
Protect your property with flood insurance. Visit floodsmart.gov.
As a reference laboratory for Mayo Clinic Laboratories helps turn test results into clinical answers for millions of patients every year.
From newly developed tests and diagnostic innovations to tips for leveraging and optimizing a laboratory for patients, clients, and staff, Mayo Clinic Laboratories podcasts help you stay at the forefront of what's new in laboratory medicine and pathology. Learn more and subscribe today at news.mayocliniclabs.com/subscribe.